Listen to yourself. Pathetic. I mean, just because you're not rich anymore doesn't mean you're a different person.
This person's not ready for a relationship. They have a lot of things on their mind, okay? You got this earthworm energy, okay? So their anxiety is tied to their finances. They have a lot of things that they're trying to process when it comes down to their stability. And you guys are picking up on this energy. You're picking up that this person is not really mentally present to really focus on a relationship. Even if they express an interest in you, they're still sort of tied to their own personal problems, okay? And with them being tied to their own personal problems, it's only so much investment that they can give you in a partnership, okay? It's really something in their mindset right now where they need to really focus on themselves. They need to focus on what they have to do to get their security right and to really be in a space where they're able to date in a proper type of way, okay? But even if the interest is there, even though if the communication is there, this person really likes to be stable, okay? And you guys are spiritually woke enough to know that this person in this situation is just not going to really have any type of fruit to really, push you in the right direction as far as developing something that's stable, okay? So we have spiritually woke, self-awareness, cutting through illusion, detaching from the ego. You guys are cutting from the illusion, okay? You're not looking at this from just a fantasy perspective, okay? You're using your intuition to realize that this person is just not, just because they're a great person, they maybe have a great personality, they're just not there mentally for a relationship, okay? Because you went through this process. You graduated to know who's not in a space to really invest in, okay? You're seeing that this person could be very much so in a penny pinching type of perspective, okay? They're looking to see where their, next dollar is coming, okay? And, behind the scenes, they're attracted to a lot of things that's in a dirty money perspective, okay? Because they're in this desperation type of space. So they're really trying to find a way out the situation by any means necessary, okay? And when someone has that level of, desperation, it's only so much you can do for them except, wish them well, okay? Be a supportive, associate for them or a supportive friend. But as far as, being a supportive partner, that they're just not able to mentally, process a relationship right now, okay? Because they're in an SOS perspective, okay? They're in an SOS perspective where they're trying to find their way out the tunnel, okay? They're in a maze when it comes down to really, figuring out what's the next step in their life, okay? And they really, if they take their time, they're going to find themselves in a better situation. It's just going to take time and energy to really be patient. Everyone goes through this particular journey. Everyone, goes through a rough patch in life, okay? And they just have to really, take that in stride and really work on themselves and really be in a space where they're able to sort of gain patience from the situation and, and just really, not go so hard on themselves. But, you could be that encouraging ear. But as far as really investing in something that's a straightforward, relationship or a traditional partnership, they don't have the tools to really develop into a successful type partnership. They're only looking to really survive right now, and their survival method is looking to do that by any means necessary, okay? And they're going to later on develop a brick wall with you guys if you're not careful, okay? With them being so overwhelmed, they're going to shut down emotionally. Okay, because like I said, with them sort of being tied to just their finances right now, with things like communication, with things like really expressing themselves in a proper way with you or to get to know you type process, they're not going to be emotionally present. Okay, they're not going to be emotionally present. Like I said, that earthworm energy, the money ain't right, they're not right. Okay, it's a lot of shutdown in this perspective, and with them shutting down, it's only so much you can do when someone's not really putting in that effort when they're in a partnership or when they're in a relationship, okay? So you guys are really right now just looking to avoid a catastrophe, okay? You're swimming away from the situation, okay? You realize that this person's just not worth that level of development right now in this situation. And if they're having a hard time to really, come to grips with that, you're backing away from that situation. Okay, you got bye Felicia, okay? You know when to say, hey, this ain't working for me, okay? Knowing when the ending is necessary, okay? We got peacing out, thank you next, leaving, and not caring. It's not the fact that you guys are not caring. I think that this person may feel that, oh, this person doesn't really care what's going on with me. You guys care, but you guys have boundaries to go about the situation in a proper way. And you know that tying yourself in a relationship, that's not in a growing perspective, or it's going to be really unequally balanced, you're not wasting your time with that, okay? So, this person may be in an emotional type of field right now because they're trying to process not only their finances, they're trying to, really rush their growth process. And I think that's probably what's going to attach them to this dirty money. If they're not going about proper type of development as far as taking their time to really go through the application process in a proper type of direction. If they're have you tied to them in a relationship, they're gonna find security by any means necessary. And you guys are looking at this you're like, okay, I know this person has an interest in me. I don't want them to be on the wrong track because they're trying to rush a connection when it's just not the right timing. Okay, you guys are realizing you have that spiritual woke energy where you're like, this is just not the right time. Let's say goodbye right now. Hey, if we're both free at a later time and we're able to sort of invest in each other in a proper type of way and we're both interested, let's rehash this at a later time. But right now, it's just not going to work, okay? Because you guys don't want this person to put you on a roller coaster ride, okay? And with them being in this imbalanced type of perspective, they have that, this anxiety, their stomachs in knots as far as trying to find their security and their stability, okay? It's going to get really chaotic, okay? And this person, if time progresses, and you may like this person now, you may have this, this tender spot for them, it's going to get real extra, okay? It's going to get real extra. You're going to see that joker come out real quick. And you guys are already, like I said, seeing little hints and phases that this person's just not emotionally present right now. They're not really in a good emotional level, even though they may be in a space where they're able to talk with you and they may share a little bit of things, but you can tell that there's a lot of weight that's on their plate, okay? And the best thing that you do with someone who's going through that is, like I said, being that encouragement, being that associate, being that friend, but you don't need to let your emotions get out of whack with this person, okay? Or be in a space where you're overgiving in a situation. You need to swim away and get some distance, okay? Because they're just not ready yet, okay? They're just not ready yet. Let's pull from the tarot deck here. Get some further insight for the singles. Let's see here. Yeah, so we got the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. You got the King of Pentacles, okay? And we got the Knight of Pentacles. They just not ready yet, y'all. Y'all sitting back as the King of Pentacles. They coming to you as a Knight. They have to focus on their security. Let's see. So we had the Three of Swords. Yeah, somebody's going to be in the feelings a little bit. So we got the Four of Swords in reverse. And they're going to slowly come out of it. And you have the Six of Pentacles in reverse because you're like, I'm not going to invest in anything that's not going to be stable for me. I don't blame you guys. You need emotional and mental stability. And also, like I said, you want a relationship that's, financially stable from both parties, okay? Let's see. We had the Magician. And we have, let's see, the King of Wands, okay? I'm going to pull two more cards here. Knight of Swords. Okay, Knight of Cups in reverse, okay? And then we also have Everything is Fine, okay? I'll pull one more card for you guys. So let's get started with that. Okay, here. So we have the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. They're trying to grow, but they're just not at that space, y'all. They're not in that space to really put in that, that weight as far as the growth process for themselves, okay? Because they're seeing you. You're in this King of Pentacles perspective. This is energy, so female and male energy. So you have your stability, okay? Things in your favor when it comes down to your environment, okay? And they're trying to sort of rush that connection. You're seeing that, okay, they're coming to you with this Knight of Pentacles. It took them the longest to come to you with this Pentacle, okay? And that Pentacle is just not enough for it to move further in a relationship, okay? And you guys, like I said, you guys are going to be in this space where you're going to have that, that conversation where it's like, okay, I just don't think that we're ready to sort of move forward right now, okay? This is just not the best time for us to really pursue this, okay? And they're going to be in their feelings, okay? They're going to be in their feelings. They're going to be in this Three of Swords type of energy, okay? And they're slowly going to come out of that, okay? The Four of Swords in reverse, those nines are going to come out the back. I think it's going to have you guys both in a situation where it's like, oh, man, I really want to invest in this person, but it's just the timing is not right. And you don't want to rush the time. And it's better to have an interaction where you have respect for each other, you have that, that kindred for each other, but you're not rushing something. And when you rush something, you ain't ready for it, or the other party's not ready for it, then you walk away with a lot of animosity, okay? You guys are trying to avoid that, okay? You guys have wisdom to know that Six of Pentacles in reverse, what's not going to be beneficial for you for a partnership, okay? You know what to invest in, okay? No matter the decision, you know what to invest in, okay, in the situation. And this person, like I said, they're trying to manifest, to get to this King of Wands perspective right here, okay, because they're used to being in this perspective. I think they're used to being in this, King of Wands energy. They're just going through a slow point. They're going through a slump right now, okay? And with that, they can't rush that growth process. They can't rush this magician energy, okay? Because I believe this person is in this Knight of Swords. They're going to try to rush to get back to you, okay? And you guys are like, no. It's not going to be like a week or 3 months later, and you're like, okay, yeah, everything's back to normal. I'm ready to give you this cup. And you're like, the cup is empty. Now the cup's in reverse, okay? With that, calling it out, and you're like, okay, you know what? Like I said, we're cordial. You guys are in this like we're cordial perspective. We're cool. We have a good understanding of one another, okay? But we're not gonna rush this interaction to have this cup of love spilling over, okay? And like I said, they're gonna be in their feelings a little bit, guys, because like I said, they have an interest in you. It's just not the time for them to really pursue anything with you right now, okay? Because they're gonna be this, everything's fine. When you do have that conversation, they're gonna have this, tough persona, for you. Like, oh no, I'm fine, I'm cool. Don't worry about it, I'm good. Yeah, I understand. But they really broke it up about the situation, okay? They really in their feelings about it, okay? So they're probably reading the messages and rereading, some things you guys had in common. What you guys saying bye. If they can't handle a friendship or they can't handle being like, in this associate perspective, then you may have to sort of like, put more distance in the interaction to let this person really work on themselves, okay? Because I think the more you guys are in this person's space and their energy, okay, they're going to try to like, speed race this process and to get to you by any means necessary, okay? And they're going to bypass a lot of their growth process in the proper direction because they got their mindset really fixated on you, okay? So you guys are going to really know how to gauge it and know when to say, okay, you know what? It's just really time for me to like, swim away from this situation and let this person just grow, okay? All right, guys, let's go to your hard truth. What are some 2 cards for you for the hard truth of the situation? Let's see here. So we have playing safe. And let's see. I'll put one more card for you. So we got anger. Okay, so I'm not gonna be mad. Okay, but they mad. I think they're mad at the situation when it comes down to like, man, I can't get this relationship. They really want to invest with you guys. But hey, it is what it is. Sometimes you got to go through that phase in life where you have to grow and go about your journey for yourself. And before you invest for somebody else, you got to make sure you're good for yourself too. Okay, so we got playing safe. You've been taking the easy path and your laziness will not pay off. Start taking bold actions and challenge yourself to be bigger and better. Okay, I think with them, the main thing about it is they've been playing safe when it comes down to their career. Okay, and with you guys are playing it safe when it comes down to knowing when to not invest in the situation. So I read this both ways. So they're looking to really take some risks in their career to really push them forward in the next direction, okay? They could be in this complacent space when it comes down to their growth process, okay? And while they're doing that, while they're going about their growth process, you're playing it safe by saying, okay, you know what? This is just not the time for us to really pursue this interaction, okay? We have anger here. Fury has consumed your energy and clouded your judgment. Remain calm. Let's see. Move your energy towards happiness instead of clinging towards past wounds. Okay. So I think with them, like, walking away from the situation and with you guys sort of like saying, hey, you know what? This is just not the proper time for us to really embark on this interaction. They're going to be angry. They're going to be in their feelings. Okay. And, they're going to, take this as a rejection wound, but it's not a rejection wound. Okay. It's just like, you guys being practical in the situation. I think they're going to have the understanding to realize that you guys are just not flat out rejecting. You're just basically telling this person, hey, you know what? I'm not going to set us up for any type of failure in any type of connection. If it's just not the right time, it's not the right time. So it's for them to process that. If they're angry about it, it's more so they're angry at themselves because they don't have the amount of, stability to really invest in you in a proper type of way or invest in the partnership in a proper type of way, okay? So they're sort of kicking themselves because they want to be in a space where they're able to do this on an efficient type of level with you, okay? But they're just not at that space. So, while they're down at that space, while they're trying to work into that new direction, they may have a couple angry moments for themselves. Like, okay, can't this go any faster for, my overall, security. Okay. But, sometimes slow and steady wins the race and this person has to take their time and not be swayed by, anything in a quick money type of way, okay? They can't be swayed in this dirty money type of lens right over here, okay?
Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant. Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant.